no matter where you are, celebrate what you're great at and celebrate who you are and optimize that potential. So the ability to take what's great about you and tell your story and optimize it is right at your fingertips.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Loki Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Juvel De Lima, and today's guest drove an Airstream across 30 states just to prove that retail isn't dead, it's just under
Mm.
celebrated. He's a best selling author, keynote speaker, retail rebel, and the kind of guy who makes career reinvention sound like your next adventure. From Apple to Airstreams, please welcome the human behind Human Pride, the one and only Ron Thurston. Welcome, Ron.
Wow, thank you, Jovel. That was a really fun intro. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you.
Yes, I prepared that because it is an exciting to have you on my podcast. Of course, it's a pleasure to my audience.
Yeah.
Of course, to me as someone who's just starting out on podcasting journey, and I really wanted to you know to learn from you and what you do. So for people who don't know yet,
Sure.
Ron Thurston, who is Ron Thurston?
Thank you. So I am, first and foremost, a longtime retailer. I have a love of the retail industry, primarily because of the impact that it has on people, on experience, on industry, on the economy, on the jobs. 1 in 4 people in the U.S. work in retail, so it is a massive level of influence, and particularly for first jobs. 1 in 6 people's first job is in retail. And so if we
Yes.
make this the industry of choice, of the industry that people um, choose to work in, build a career, build and help build brands, that economically has a very powerful message to what's going on. So I had the luxury of working for some incredible brands throughout the course of 30 plus years in the industry, from Gap and Apple and Tory Burch, and helping launch Bonobos and Saint Laurent and Intermix. It was this mix of technology and fashion, and most importantly, the impact that it has on people. And retail, as we'll talk about for my first book, Retail Pride, is about
Yes.
celebrating people whose careers are accidental. And so often what people hear is that, well, I never really planned to do this. I really I studied something else, but I love retail. And so for many people, it's an accidental career. It's a self-taught career. It's an industry that thrives on newness all the time. And that's just one of some of the many reasons why I just love this industry so much.
Yes, and in your book in Retail Pride, you talk about the accidental career, right? So
Mhm.
what what do you really mean by that, and why do you think it resonates with so many people in the industry?
Yeah, I think it resonates because it's an industry where you don't have to come to the table with a specific degree in, say, retail management. You come to the table and say, I have lots of energy, I have an entrepreneurial spirit, I have a love of customer experience, I'm ready to give, and that inherently is what retail is all about. And so if you come to the table with that, then you can create a career that's very unstoppable, and choose brands that are doing great things at important moments in their history, of great brands that are making an impact on how we all live our life, or the influence that they have, whether it's in grocery, pharmacy,
Yes,
fashion, home, technology. Retail's everywhere. And so when I
yes,
describe it as an accidental career, I say that because I've hired hundreds of people over the years, maybe into the thousands. I've interviewed definitely thousands of people, and it's
yes,
often the first thing that they say is, "You know what? I never really planned to be here, but here I am,
yes,
and I love it." And Retail Pride is a celebration of people who have accidental careers, who may not always have the support of friends and family. It's kind of this joke of like, oh, I'm sorry you work in the mall. But in fact, I worked in the mall for years. I love working in the mall. Like the energy and the
Yes.
vibe and the traffic and everything that you love about retail happens in these spaces. And so it is in many ways, that book is a motivational speech to people who need validation for often a career that doesn't get that. And I don't think that's unique to retail. I think careers in service, hospitality, quick service food restaurants, there's a lot of very important industries that may not have a big title attached to them, but provide very important services and impact to their local communities. And those are the people that need to be celebrated.
Yes, yes, exactly right. And a lot of people said that retail is dead. And you know, I will doubt that it is dead, right? Because as right now, after, it's people say that when pandemic hit, right? But because of the AI thing, a lot of people, about shopping online
Yeah.
on Amazon, and you also have the Retail in America podcast wherein that was
Hmm.
unique, and you
Yeah.
inspired to take that cross country journey. And what was the most surprising story or lesson you uncovered during
Mm.
that journey?
Yeah, I love this question. Yeah, so I left New York City in 2022, summer of 2022, sold
Yes.
everything that we owned, and said, we're going to buy this Airstream and travel across the country and listen to people's stories. So when you live in New York City, you live in this kind of bubble of business and entrepreneurship and executives in the industry. And often the best stories, from what I experienced, come from sometimes more casual conversations, more authentic or smaller towns. So I thought the only way I'm going to find these stories is to go meet people where they are and to go find them,
Yes.
because I may not know, I will never meet these people in New York City. So I'm going to go find you. And that's exactly what we did. And so over a year, 14 months on the road, of 30
Wow.
states, launched the Retail in America podcast. All of the interviews were done in person in the Airstream. So the Airstream functioned as my home. It functioned as a podcast studio. It functioned as just my life. Everything that we owned was in this Airstream. And it was so much fun. We interviewed, founders, CEOs, store managers, celebrities, uh, fashion stylists, anyone who really has an important impact in the work that they do. I wanted to meet,
Yes.
and so that's what we did, and I'm very proud of that work. I'm very proud of the stories that were told, the images, and I'd like to say the impact, because those stories, to answer your question, the most surprising ones are the ones that really come from the most prideful experiences. So they're very proud, say, a brand like James Avery that is Texas based. All of their products is manufactured in Texas. Their corporate headquarters, James Avery, who was the founder of the company, is from Austin. And the teams were so proud of what they did and so proud that they produced this incredible jewelry. There's have 100 plus of their own locations. They're very Texas proud. They're very proud of their company. Like those kinds of stories, you can't um, kind of just find through general conversation. You need to be there and
Yes.
feel it and see it, and that's exactly what I did.
Yes, it's kind of different being in person, having
Yeah.
conversation to the actual person. Like it's very different. So, I do you have a plan like having a season two for your podcast?
So yeah, I have a different podcast today called Frontline Fridays, which was season one was a live show on LinkedIn, again celebrating the frontline experiences, sent leaders. And from the unique part about Frontline Fridays is that
Yes.
it was not for C-suite. It was very much for uh, multi-store leader, district managers, heads of stores, visual merchandising, store operations, loss prevention, all the resources that make great retail. Wanted to celebrate people who supported the front line, and it was a live show. Season two will happen later this year, as we continue to think about how the retail industry evolves in its own unique ways. So season two is coming soon, sponsored by Ubik, who was also one of the sponsors of Retail in America. So I've had a long, and I sit on their senior advisory board. So I have a long standing relationship with Ubik, and I'm proud to work with them.
That's exciting. You know what?
Yes. But
I
yes,
just got
season
my
two of Retail in America could potentially happen next year.
yes, yes. That is exciting. It will take you like since you already have season one and you learn from that a lot. For this season two, you can you can have a lot of things gonna happen, and that is exciting. Because right now, retail is growing, and
Hmm.
after what happened in the pandemic. So, talking about your podcasting, how does podcasting help you like spread your message, like your
Mm,
voice out there?
yeah. So I look at kind of how I spread my voice in a few different channels. So one is like conferences, speaking on stage, wherever I can
Yes.
kind of get in front of audiences to share that message. Often they are store teams. So, for example, with James Avery, I had all their store managers together at a conference, I think nearly 200 of them, and was able to take them through a workshop and share the excitement around retail pride. They buy retail pride for all of their employees. So there's this nice mix of storytelling and like the joy of retail. So speaking engagements for sure, and but podcasting and book sales get to a broader audience. But podcasting
Yes.
specifically has the opportunity to have the biggest audience, and so whatever that the topic is, it's a really important mode of communication today. And it's one of the least, similarly least expensive ways to
Yes.
broadcast versus buying television ads. So it's cost effective. It has very broad appeal, broad potential impact. It has great marketing opportunities. So I'm a big fan. That's why I have two different shows, maybe a third in the future, because I just believe in the power of conversation and the power
Yes.
of what that means. That when we talk to each other, that's how we make things more real versus writing. I
Yes.
think just the conversations are important to share with broad audiences,
Yes, it is more authentic. And in
more
the world
authentic.
of AI is booming right now. Authenticity is what most people are craving. So podcasting is one of the best way to to reach a lot of people genuinely, show our
Yeah.
service, what we can do, what we are doing. So a lot of people also are joining others people's podcasts to tap their mark to tap their audience.
Yeah.
And one of my guests recently just said to me that if podcasting is one of the way to grow your network, find more people, connect with people that's in your community. So it's a great way. Like me, I am just starting out. I am very, I'm very introvert person, and as you will notice, um, and of course, podcasting is a great way to find people who can help you grow. Right now, if you know Enrique, I already signed up for him to be my mentor and for collaboration, like X deal collaboration. So I am going
Nice.
to help him with his media assets on his podcast. In return, he will mentor me. So it's a good way.
Yeah.
I am talking with him. I am learning a lot from him. So it's a good way and a best way to have a person you can learn from. And of
Hmm.
course, um, podcasting also is a great way to promote. Okay, so talking about your
Hmm.
upcoming book, Human Pride.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
your book, Human Pride, tackles how to thrive in a digital AI-driven job market. So what's one core
Hmm.
idea from the book that you hope every reader takes away? Just
Yeah.
give us some
Thank you.
insights.
Sure. So the book is it's divided into two primary sections, and then there's a third smaller. So the primary two sections are for the job seeker and for the leader, because the subtitle of this book is optimizing your human potential in a digital job market. Because one of the things that, through my travels, through conversations I have every day, is that there's a lot of fear in the job market, and leadership about AI. How is AI changing my work? How is it potentially negatively impacting career paths? There's just fear versus the joy of what it can bring. And I really have this message of, we want to optimize our own human potential and say, what are we actually really good at? What are our strengths? How do we lean into our own core values? How do we think about um, storytelling? All of these pieces that are so human, that are unique to every individual. That's the power of your own human potential. So
Yes.
the book is really a self-reflection of, what actually am I good at? What are my greatest strengths? What am I best at? How do I use that in a job search? How do I use that in a leadership role? And so the chapters are divided into this kind of job seeker or leader. But for leaders today, and this is not a book about retail, this is a book for everyone, is that the leaders today are challenged with things like multi-generational workforces, technology, this kind of sense of belonging in the workforce. There
Yes.
are there are a lot of challenges that are being faced with leaders today, and it's important that you learn how to lean in the most human way. How do you then take all these necessary components of work, all the challenges around us in our work environments, and think about how we connect as humans? So that's optimizing your human potential in the workforce. But it's also, then the last part of the book is about how to take care of yourself. How do you optimize your own human potential? What practices do you have around, maybe it's meditation or journaling or your health? So it's really three primary components that I think the book then appeals to a much broader audience, and people that are having different moments in their life at the time.
That is, that is inspiring. Of course, that is for everyone, and I must have one copy for that
Of
on
course,
May. Yes, and I should have that. So I needed that for a lot of people who've been, struggling at their workspace, uh, and of course learning and pivoting in another jobs. It is very important to, to learn from someone who's been there also. And so
yeah.
in both of your books, Retail Pride and the Upcoming Human Pride, you emphasize
Hmm.
celebrating in the individuality, right, and the human
Hmm.
potential. So how does this philosophy influence the way you approach your own career and personal growth?
Hmm. So I It's an interesting question, because I have approached it in a very human way as a leader for decades. And my own career, I believe, was very rooted in choosing companies that were doing great work with people at the time. So if I reflect on my career early, we're taking you back to like the late 80s, 90s, 2000s, I was at Gap. And Gap at the time was um, very rooted in people development, leadership training programs. We were launching new brands like Kids and Baby. Banana Republic was growing. Old Navy didn't even exist yet. So like this moments of like career development, went on to join West Elm and help build, at the time, was a very um, approachable furniture business, kind of this fashion for your home, lower price points, smaller business models, smaller square footage. It was furniture for a New York apartment. But we were rooted in service and people and brands that were growing. Joined Apple similarly, like they were doing very interesting things around people, still
Yes.
do today, one of the best in the industries. Um, when I moved to New York City to help launch the retail concept for Bonobos, Same. Like Bonobos is a retail concept that sells no product and is 100% rooted in an experience. And that is, you don't create experiences in a store if you don't hire exceptional people, provide great training, support, feedback, all through every part of the journey. That's how great experiences are built. And Saint Laurent is one of the most important luxury houses in history. And to have the honor to lead the field teams for North and South America, rooted in people and service and storytelling and the best part of what retail is. And same for Intermix, this mix of brands, luxury, contemporary brands. I've chosen these companies with great intention around how can I optimize the human potential? I don't think I could articulate those words at the time, but now when I look back, I can. Like I was optimizing human potential in retail. But as I don't work in the industry full time anymore, I see the opportunity every day in every industry. And there's a need for this conversation in every company about how are we optimizing the human potential of the people that are here, not just adding more technology or finding ways to reduce headcount or cutting costs. It's actually optimizing the people that are here. And some of that is around coaching conversations, feedback. Some of it is financial. Some of it is maybe they're in the wrong job. This idea of kind of revealing what you're really good at, connecting to your strengths, and maybe transforming your career because what you've done so far hasn't really got you where you want to be, or your strengths are different today. So there's a
Yes.
lot of great conversations that I think will happen because of this book.
Yes, and of course, a lot of people can learn from it. And as for me, as someone who's just starting out, and from you who's been there, who's been seeing it all, and like the OG of retail, let's say from that. So, what advice can you give to someone like me who's just starting out, or someone right out there who's watching this video, or who wants to start on retail or everything in what they're doing? What's the best advice that you can give?
Great question, Joel. I am number one an advocate of learn how to tell your own story. So whether that is kind of where you're from, where you've maybe gone to school or not, every part of your life, every couple of years adds and
Yes.
builds on your story. And people who are great at being interviewed are good storytellers. So the often what's missed is yes, you can answer the questions, but can you paint or draw a line between the dots of the moments in your life so far that have created where you are today? So the best thing you can do is learn how to tell your story. I was at the Fashion Institute of Technology, FIT, in New York City last week speaking to students. And same, they're
Yes.
20, 21 years old, just getting started. They have dreams of careers in the fashion industry, but haven't really started. And this question came up of like, well, what should I be doing? And my answer is the number one thing you should learn how to talk about is why you chose this school. Why are you at FIT? And that's the beginning. It's the foundation of your storytelling. So that's number one. And it really is a learned skill. Storytelling and telling your own story is uncomfortable and it's awkward but
Yes.
you have to practice. It's you have to practice. And then from there it's build your network. So then use LinkedIn. I'm a huge advocate. Connect with as many people using the platforms that are available. And then number three would be a student of the industry that you're in. So things like podcasts, webinars, um, you know, papers that are being written. There's a lot of content being shared about every industry in the world. So
Yes.
whatever industry you work in, be the best student of that industry. Walk into every interview the most informed, with the really the smartest questions that you can answer. Read everything you can. We live in a world where everything's at our fingertips. All you have to do is type in a
Yes.
question, or it's not even type. You just say a question, and everything you ever wanted to know is available. So if you choose to like not learn how to tell your story, or you don't network very well, or you don't do your homework, what I share, which is maybe a bit harsh, is you will likely not get the job. Like you have
Yes.
to work harder than other people. Sometimes you have to find that point. That's optimizing your human potential, or doing those three things. And no matter where you are in your career, there's always that chance of like, be the best student, read the most, explore, ask great questions, connect, find people on LinkedIn of like, oh, I listened to you, Ron, on that podcast with Jovel. I love a couple of things that you said. Can I have 10 minutes of your time? I have a couple of questions for you. I will always say yes to that when it happens on LinkedIn. You're not always going to get 100% yes, but here's the the platform that's right in front of you, that's practically free, where you have access to every leader in the industry.
Yes.
Who doesn't love that opportunity? I didn't have that opportunity early in my career. So just
Yes.
um, things like that really do change the trajectory of your career, because then you become a student, but you become a good interview, and then you will become a good person who interviews others in the future, because you do the same thing.
Yes. It takes a lot of courage to pursue
Yes,
what we want, right? And as
yes,
someone like
it
me who's
does.
just starting out, I'm always on YouTube learning stuff, different stuff on
Yeah.
starting a business, starting a career, what's the steps I need to do, because having a big goal is sometimes overwhelming. So we have to break it down into small steps. And I called YouTube like YouTube University, because I didn't finish college. I dropped out in college when pandemic hit, and I
Mhm.
started network marketing. I sell herbal products. I've been there for 3 years. I learned a lot from people, because in network marketing you get to learn selling stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm selling a lot of stuff like that. After that, I started my traditional business. Got failed. I started a farm, piggery business, a lot of pigs like that, but it failed. And I
Okay.
started right now. I am in my 3 years in freelancing, and it's when the time I start learning how to make money more easily, because you just have to have a specific niche or offer you can help other people with your skills.
Yeah.
And I started also a podcast to learn from other people, to connect with people, of course, and to I have this quote from my previous guest who has a lot of followers on LinkedIn. He called this borrowing value, or borrowing, yes, borrowing value from your guest, because you can tap
Mm,
on other people's network or audience by having a podcast, by guesting them. So as
yeah.
someone like me who's like um not really good at speaking English, I'm introvert, but I face it head on. And most of the people on my podcast, they said just keep on doing it, because eventually
Yeah.
you will learn. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think I am learning a little bit every time I'm having
Yeah.
someone, because on my first
Yeah.
episode I am so nervous, like I am standing up speaking. And yes, so right now I am really happy I got Ron Thurston on my podcast, something that I am really proud of. I am just started
Good.
I started on LinkedIn March, because I resigned from my previous job on February, started
Hmm.
my own podcast on March, started my own agency helping a lot of podcasters with their social media assets. And it is really, I was scared, because I get out
Yeah.
of my comfort zone, but it is what it is. If you want to grow,
Yeah.
you have to get out of your comfort zone. And I am really happy for someone like you giving me a chance. um talking with you, learning from
Yeah.
you, and this is always one of my um what is this? What do you call this? This is one thing I always say to my people here in the Philippines, that if you have a dreams, you just have to fight for it. Because as someone like
Mhm.
me before, a lot of people doubted me because I didn't finish college. Because here in the Philippines, if you didn't finish college, you will
Mm,
likely not gonna achieve your goals or dreams like that. And
mm.
I'm talking a lot. I think I am the guest now. But
That's okay
your
too.
your book is launching on May 6th, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So
Correct.
uh
Yes.
where it will be available on Amazon, can you share with
Amazon. So yeah,
us?
in every country, it will be available on Amazon, both Kindle and paperback
Wow.
too,
So
and maybe some
people,
bookstores here or there, but for sure on Amazon on May 6th.
yes. And of course, I saw your post earlier about the 5 days challenge that you have
Yeah.
to post everything. So I'm in on the challenge.
Great.
So can you explain more about that?
Yeah. So part of where I like to take conversations is how does it impact um, more than just business? How does this influence yourself? So when you tell stories like, who is the leader that had the most influence on you? What are you most proud of in your career? You just
Yes.
shared some of those yourself, Jovel. Like you're really proud of yourself for launching a podcast, for putting yourself out there, for doing things that make you uncomfortable. Those are great stories that when they see that, when other people see that, then you're like you become the inspiration for someone else that's afraid to take that
Yes.
next step. And this idea of like a human pride challenge is, what are the things that you're most proud of? How are you optimizing your human potential, and who helped you get there? Because no one does it by themselves. There are people who influence us, who have supported us, who are
Yes.
challenging us to maybe do something differently or better, and encouraging us along the way. So that's also part of optimizing human potential, is sharing what you know, sharing your gifts with others. That's why I love to speak to students. There's no reason that I didn't have a 35-year career working in this industry if I'm not sharing literally everything I know, give you all the answers to the tests to students. That's that's for me, that's a responsibility that I have. So that challenge that you're describing is kind of the first step in, let's talk more about influence and optimizing
Yes.
human potential, and maybe a little bit less about AI, because AI is fantastic and we all use it now in different
Yes.
forms, and every company is adopting their own tools. But the hard part, it's easy to use ChatGPT. The hard part is telling
Yes.
your story. And
Yes.
hiding behind a computer is easy. Being on a podcast is hard, or hosting a podcast is hard. So those are the things that I want to encourage people, because when you read some of the data, we're spending more time online, we're spending more time on our phone, we're isolating more, and there has to be a counter to that, to for for us to be healthy.
Yes, and no matter how small what we think we are doing right now, sometimes we didn't know there are some people silently watching us who are inspired with what you
Yeah.
with what you are doing. Like me, for me, I am just starting out. I am learning stuff, but I didn't know there are people here in my country who is inspired by what I do, because I am the
Mm,
only podcaster here in the Philippines talking with people in the US.
mm,
So even if um how small I am, I see right now myself, because I have a big goals. We just have to keep on showing up, because we never know who are the peoples out there who's watching us, inspired with us, so they keep on doing also what they're doing, like that. So that is your message also.
yeah, it's true. It's really true. And if it makes you uncomfortable, even same for me for public speaking, or you have to really work through a lot of this. And It's really nothing to do with age, even. It does, just
Yes.
because you're older doesn't make you better at it.
Yeah.
So I think that there's this there's work that we have to do on ourselves always to optimize ourselves. Our strengths change, our priorities change, your lives change, and it's this constant personal self-assessment of where can I add the most value. And so what you're doing today, like as you described, you're influencing other, maybe young people, but maybe not young people. Maybe they're older people that would say, oh, I can do that. Like, look, that sounds really fun. I want to try that too. And yeah,
Yes.
you're right. You never know who's watching. You never know who's inspired. And that's the gift of storytelling.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's also the behind the results of what we are doing. I just want to say that to all people who's watching this video right now, I hope you keep on pursuing your dreams, your goals, because your future self will thank you
Mm.
for not quitting, for not believing that you can't do it, for not believing for others people what says about you. So hear it from Ron. Ron, what is your last message for the people who's watching
Mm.
this video right now about your book, about what you do, where they can find you also?
Yeah, thank you. So the message would be like, no matter where you are, celebrate what you're great at and celebrate who you are, and optimize that potential. So the ability to take what's great about you and tell your story and optimize it is right at your fingertips. So don't be afraid to do that. Find best practices, find books, find people that inspire you, and keep moving forward. And so that would be number one. And so I have two places you can find me. One, you can subscribe at ronthurston.com, ronthurston.com. Right now, it's just we're just capturing emails for book release, but shortly there will be a lot of content on there, places to find podcasts. There will be all kinds of information on ronthurston.com or on LinkedIn. That's the other one.
All right. Thank you so much, Ron. I really appreciate your time and I enjoyed talking with you. And I'm excited for the launch of your book. Good luck with that. And God bless with what you're doing. Keep on inspiring people because I there are a lot of people silently. You never know who's watching,
Yeah,
listening from you, what you do, and following you, of course. And I'm one of them. Thank you so much for
yeah.
inspiring such young generations like me.
Thank you. Thank you, Javel. You're doing a great job. It was a lot of fun.